Hey guys, it's Matt. This is the reality map that I drew out. It looks extremely confusing. If you're just driving or you can't even see the image, I don't think you'll need to for this go-around. You would definitely help, no doubt about it, but you don't need to. Come back later and look at the image. The image is just some pictures I took. The video quality here is about the lamest ever produced, but I drew this out and this is the best I can do. Also, consider this a complete rough draft. I figured, why should I try to get this perfect? It's going to take 3 or 4 videos to talk this out properly, to get my thoughts organized properly on concepts that are this big. And then I can look to the commenters, look to you to see. I guarantee you guys will help me bridge some gaps here. Or if the main principles of the theory don't hold up, then blow it out of the water. Seriously, blow it out of the water. Any theory, if it is right about the nature of reality itself, it's got to hold up. So if half of you just want to literally look with a skeptical eye and try to blow this up, then do it, because if it holds up to that, then it holds up. So this can be all over the place. Not a very good delivery, but it's a first. Just give me a pass, first draft, and it'll get better over the next 2 times I do it. So it doesn't. I'm going to try to talk this through. If you're not going to be able to see much of the image anyway. I have different images I'm going to show you, but it's hard to read as it is. So the idea is we carry our own personal reality bubble, and the way reality itself is structured in this place, in this environment, is like Russian nesting dolls. As you work outward, the reality bubbles get bigger and bigger. And in this example, I'm only showing 3. Who knows how many levels there are. The scene in the movie Soul showed the soul of Joe going from the great beyond. He was escaping the afterlife. Eventually, he fell down to the great before, where new souls are prepared for Earth. Went through a series of layers of levels. It's only 3 here. So we'll just start with the absolute basics. The middle is your heart-centered reality, heart-based reality bubble. The way I imagine this is just maybe 10 feet around you. Some people would say a little bit more, a little less. A bubble 10 feet around you, heart-based reality bubble. Okay? At the outermost layer is what I call the screen. And this is the false projections of everything that this, quote, society wants you to do, how it tells you need to act, what's important in life, what you need to be. That's the outer layer. That's what I've talked about in the past. It's the screen, the false reality surrounds us like an IMAX, a giant IMAX that wraps all the way around. If anybody wants to think the outer layers of this environment, the, quote, edge of space or firmament, that's fine too. Consider that the screen. And the middle circle here, kind of meeting halfway between your own personal heart-based reality and the screen, the corruption, the fake, the deception. The middle bubble, or where it splits it in 2, or meet me halfway, I called collective consciousness. This is collective acceptance of how things work, collective beliefs, collective consensus of real souls. Do different types of incarnations or NPCs contribute to a collective consciousness, a shared reality? I don't know. We'll leave that out. We'll talk about that some other time. So the main big idea here is, and this tenet or whatever has to absolutely hold up, because if anybody blows this one out of the water, this whole thing goes down. It's on the outer edge. The screen presents things that are fake, corrupted, hijacked, less real, fluid. As you move down towards your heart-based reality center or your own reality bubble, you standing there touching a tree, a pet jumps on your lap, your child walks in the room, it works its way down to being more real, less fluid, less chance for a Mandela effect. Mandela effects happen basically on the outer edge, the screen, for the most part. People have personal Mandela effects. I don't know how to work that in yet. I'll just keep this very basic. So fake is far away, and as you work closer towards your own reality, things become more real. Right now, one of the things I'll mention briefly, just to describe some of the details on this now. And let me just describe the details of how I've written this, and then we'll try to worry about understanding the concepts later. So I'll try to put the appropriate image up now. Very sophisticated, the way I took these pictures, by the way. So let's look at your heart-based reality. This is where people should be operating. Provides the most protection from the screen. But do you see a little bit off to the left of the heart is a brain? And I call that ego or head-based reality. So one of the main principles here is your reality heart-based or is it head-based, ego-based? And I think this is something we can tell each other or ourselves every day when you wake up. Heart-based reality, to me, is at the center. It's the farthest away from the screen, farthest away from the corruption. It's the most armor, the most protection, the most distance. See, I put the head-based, ego-based reality on the outer edge of the reality bubble. And I actually drew a hand that reaches up. It's almost like the top of the Sistine Chapel, where Michelangelo depicted God's finger almost touching atoms. The head-based reality, I drew a hand out, and it's reaching for the hand. The screen reaches its hands down. So head-based, if you're operating out of a head-based or ego-based reality, so you're a lot closer to the screen, and the screen will be able to reach its hands and maybe get a hold of you, where the heart-based reality is at the true center and has more distance, more armor, more protection. So I drew at the bottom, there are some ladders that and constant arrows going inward. So the goal of the screen and its minions that present the ideas of the screen is to work its ideas and concepts inward towards you. It cannot reach you directly. It needs you, that's what these hands are, to reach out and up towards it, to accept it, to let it in. But the screen is always trying to put its ideas, its corruption, its deception, its lies, its distraction, fake, hijacked, whatever. It wants you to adopt. At the top I wrote, does your reality come from the screen inward or from your heart outward? Are you accepting a reality that is here we go with just terms carried through society, trickle down, voodoo, trickle down economics? How about trickle down reality? You adopting what it's pushing down on you, or are you setting an intention in the morning that your reality is pushing outward from heart center? I would imagine the screen doesn't like that, but let's keep it basic. So I drew, 50 or 100 little circles just on the inside of the screen, but kind of all over the place. The circles represent the minions, right? The screen itself that wants you constantly distracted, wants to put you in a state, certain states that generate energy for itself, polarization, pick a camp, wants you in a state of anxiety, worry, stress, fear, adopting personal beliefs and viewpoints that create friction with other people in your group of friends or family. Or, I don't have to list out the camps. The whole society is structured so you pick a camp and then you fight with those who are not in your camp. That takes two to tango. That creates energy. Two different things, two ends of the magnet, two different chemicals in a battery creates energy. So the minions, I've talked about this many, many times, so I won't spend more than 30 seconds for anybody that's new. It's everybody that basically puts themselves on TV or puts themselves into a position of authority that carries out the wishes of how this thing here that's engineered society wants society to work. So it's Ellen, it's George Clooney, it's Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania. It's also a college chancellor that's just, or college professors that just teaching the exact way that, Melvin P. Gates's Common Core would want things being taught. Once these are minions. Most of the minions are not in on it. A college professor that's outlining the merits of supply and demand and how that moves the stock market. They don't understand how the stock market really works, how fake it is, how managed by supercomputers it is. They're doing the bidding of the screen, promoting the fakery, promoting the corruption, promoting the outer edges of this diagram. But they're not in on it. They think they're doing what's best, but they're a minion. They are absolutely, a minion. That doesn't mean they're a different. All of the minions are not, in my opinion, different types of incarnations or NPCs. They might be just soul and spirited beings that have gone astray. There's different types of minions at all levels. I mean, just everybody, a shop owner or a business owner that is going along with everything now, is proud to close and thinks they're completely doing their part. They're a minion because they're pushing the ideas from the outer edges inward towards people's heart center. Most minions, again, most people that carry out the wishes of society aren't in on it. And in the middle, in the largest font between the circle that says collective consciousness and the outer circle, which is the screen, it says society engineered or engineered society. And of course, the society is completely engineered to create this type of energy back that it feeds from: anxiety, stress, worry, fear, anxiety, the other 7 deadly sins, and everything else that we sense is not really what's best for a human being. So the main points, just to sum up where we are now, is there's nothing good on the outside of the final line. Okay, the screen. This is on the right. I drew different names. This is the old police lineup, where there's nothing to point at, in my opinion, or we'd know exactly what it is by now. But the screen on the outer edge of the screen is the old police lineup. Who done it? Who is doing all this, trying to move a human being off its natural path, to corrupt a human being away from what we should be doing? I wrote Satan, Voldemort, Enlil, Enki, reptilians, aliens, interdimensional aliens, the Nephilim. I mean, they're just, the list of bad guys, reptilians, goes on and on and on. And there's the police lineup exercise. Who exactly to point at is pointless. The only thing to see is there's something, it probably, in my opinion, a Christian would say Satan, but I don't think it's anything you can point at. I think it's the reality itself. It uses the minions. This is how the only way it can reach its hands, these hands and ladders coming in towards your heart-centered based reality. The only way it can reach you is using its minions. The minions, often, in most cases, it's not direct. They don't come just tackle you and put an idea or concept in your face and say, adopt this. The minion, one of the little circles here might be Kim Kardashian, and Kim Kardashian is going to show you what's cool. And another one would be Kanye West, and Governor Wolf's going to tell you how to be safe. And all these minions, with very few of them being in on it at all. Some I think have an understanding, like Anderson Pooper has an understanding of, exactly, he understands that his news presentation isn't exactly on the up and up, but does he completely understand how reality itself works? Does he? I mean, I don't think so. I really don't. Rush Limbaugh knows that there's no such thing as in our Republican Party that's at odds with Democrats, and they both want to do right by America, but they just have different ideas. He knows it's just one group all presenting their fake fronts. Rush Limbaugh knows that. But in terms of how other parts of reality work, or the things we've even exposed as fake, he doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't understand that. He's just a minion. So the evil genius of the reality is 99+% of minions truly believe in what they're doing, and they don't have any idea they're being used by the forces of the screen, where you have the Glenn Becks and the people that inside their own little bucket, they understand it's fake, but they don't understand the other parts. Is there, there's no point in pondering this, because the ultimate, I was going to say, is there anything or one here that understands it all? Well, I guess we should, we'll talk about that for a second, but it's not important, because the purpose of this exercise is not to waste our time. The purpose of an exercise like this is to actually start to use it to get results, to make sure you're adopting a heart-based reality, pushing outward, that creates more armor, that takes these ladders and removes them. So if you can picture it, the hands reaching in, put yourself in a state so you never grab them. The reality is a million little hands reaching in, which my favorite example is always, here's Ryan Seacrest trying to tempt you to look up at the red carpet and get involved in that nonsense, or Khloe Kardashian's new scent. And it's not just, I keep going with the Hollywood and the entertainment. It's across the board. I mean, my certain relatives, they get their Time magazine and their Newsweek and their Economist magazine, and they study geopolitical issues, or what has America's influence been in the Balkans, and are the Russians trying to push their influence back? And these geopolitical, they study the New York Times, and it doesn't matter. It's all a fake presentation. That's no more legitimate than Khloe Kardashian's latest scent. They believe it's more legitimate. But the screen is asking you to adopt all of it. The screen is asking you to adopt all of its engineered society. So for those that will be interested in trying to blow this out of the water, and I hope you do. I mean, if it holds up to you guys, then there's something to this. And if there's something to this, this is rather big. So the way to start to blow it out of the water, we can try to do it myself to my own document or my own theory, is the basic premise here is on the outer fringe or the screen. The idea, as I already mentioned this the other day, the idea of the presentation is less real, fake, or corrupted, where if it's closer to you, something that's spawned inside your reality bubble, it's real. You touching a tree, even though this whole thing may be a matrix, and we'll talk about that some other time, it's not really important for this exercise. You touching a tree, it's pretty real. Again, doesn't matter. The point of this is not to talk about quantum this or that, or string theory, or to break down that there's nothing until observed. That's for another time. This is understanding how reality works. So basically, you can recreate your defenses and try to flip the script on it, try to create a heart-based reality that pushes these bastards actually out and farther away from you. So the main premise, if you want to blow this away, is, what could be on the outer edge, the screen, that's just as real or more real than what's close to your heart-based reality. You just reaching out, touching your cat or your child, or see the face covering now. This is where that old article by Steffers at Peace of Mindful talked about, the 6 feet staying distance. Well, there's a heart entrainment. When you get close to somebody that you care about, there's heart energies that are shared, and those heart energies can be very reinvigorating, nourishing, needed by a human being. But it also might be necessary to share ideas. Reality bubbles people can share ideas if they're kind of conjoined or they're together. If you're pushed away from people and you can't, infuse your energies or your heart energies or your reality bubbles, then not only is that not healthy, then maybe ideas can't be shared. And, that's one of the reasons they've been able to get away with so much of they're getting away with here is no matter what you and I see, we have a very hard time sharing the ideas. No one will ever get close, no one will even get in our own space, our own presence to hear us out. It's always via email. I'm trying to convince my uncles of something. It doesn't work that way for the most part, other than the success my friend Mark has had he's done it via email. Almost nobody else has. So the main thing here is, the other day I even talked about air travel, on the outer fringe. Well, Matt, air travel on the highest level, United Airlines, that's going to be just the same as, what would be in your immediate reality bubble, because you can go fly United Airlines to Los Angeles. And I was saying, even that, the basic premise is as it gets smaller, and it's not just, I said this a few videos back, it's not just as it gets closer to your heart-based reality bubble, it gets more real. You could say as it gets from a grand level or a screen level or a Hollywood level or a federal government level, as it gets closer to your local level, the way reality works, it gets more real. So in terms, we talked about plane crashes, local planes or small planes crash all the time. But at the highest level, the federal level, or we get these ridiculous statistics like 100 million, somewhere like 120 million flights. People were like giving me statistics about things that have happened overseas. First of all, I can't confirm if something crashed overseas. I can't confirm that. Nobody can. 727 Max or whatever. I'm talking about U.S. Well, I can only talk about what's confirmable. I assure you, if they say there's a plane crash in Des Moines, that can't be faked. Okay, we're all here, so it doesn't. I'm just talking from a U.S. Canada perspective. 100 to 120 to 130 million flights over how many decades, with basically nothing, no major disasters. That's a reality breakdown for me. Okay, that's just not possible. That you can send 300,000 pounds of metal with 100,000 moving parts up over 100 million times. Not 10,000 times, 100 million. Do you understand how that's a reality breakdown for me? I don't care if one guy was sucked out of one fake Southwest Airlines thing or, something that happened in San Francisco. I'm talking major, okay? So even that, at the highest level, it starts to break down in this reality. It starts to get fake or corrupted or something not real about it. Banking, they could just do this time after time. It all holds up. If the kid on the, corner might be selling lemonade, you don't have any money. You say, well, I'll tell you what, kid, you give me 2 of those big glasses of lemonade. You cut my lawn. You don't have to cut the lawn this week. It's something real where at the highest level, you have Federal Reserve. You have just made up money. You have stock markets that are completely run on computers. It's all, as you push outward towards the screen, it's all fake. It's all corrupted. Is there anybody that can come up with something to blow this out of the water that will say, no, Matt, at the highest level, it's just as real as if it stepped into your personal reality bubble? Now, if that holds up, all right, then there would have to be, I would think, tremendous merit to this model of reality if that holds up. I'm not prepared to go through all the different, permutations. But if I probably took the book out and did the entire list of if the world were real, this would happen or that would happen, it would probably hold up. Just like pharmaceuticals, drug companies, they have the cures for these things. They have the cures. But, a dead man doesn't make any drug company any money, and a cured man doesn't make any, or woman, doesn't make any drug company any money. Guys, I'm sorry. This is rather hard to do, just staring at my diagram. In talking about basically the biggest concept ever discussed. So it's pretty difficult, and I will get better at this over time. I'll need to do this a few more times. So if I'm not very polished in a certain section, I apologize. This is rather difficult. So What do you have at the outer level? Oh, you have big drug companies like GlaxoSmithKline. And what are they pushing? They're pushing the names that I wrote around the side. They're pushing basically lies, deception, distraction, fake, corrupted, hijacked. They're pushing, look, is insulin necessary to save a diabetic? Of course. They're not all bad, but for the most part, for somebody that's over age 40, you remember, there was no drug company commercials on your television. There were hardly any drugs. Certain drugs, if certain things happened, and antibiotics, but you turn on TV, it's like Enbrel and all. Just endless array of drugs. There couldn't possibly be that many even conditions. It's, and there has been a degradation in people's health. So these drugs, it goes hand in hand, but it doesn't violate the principles here. The principles at the outer edges, the largest drug companies, they're going to, these descriptors are going to hold: lies, deception, unnecessary, all this. So it's not certainly going to be less real and more fluid and more fake on the outer edge. So I probably could do this for 10 hours, plugging every possible permutation in, and at the highest level, the screen level, the Hollywood level, the federal government level, the United Nations level, the highest of high levels. What they say space is, it's going to be faker, more, if that's a word, more fake as it's close to the screen. Now the purpose, so last word there. Anybody, try to blow it out, this theory out using that. If it holds up to that, then there's really something here. So even in general, I think the principles here, even if I have the illustration wrong, the principles, I believe, hold. So the screen, I'm not going to get into specifics. I don't even know what I can say, but 15 years ago, it talked about, it introduced the idea behind certain lifestyles, two particular things that wasn't just about acceptance or making sure there was no discrimination. It was basically introducing these choices as the greatest thing of all time. You know what I'm talking about. This is not possible in organic, with a society that's not completely controlled and engineered. But for some reason, the screen wanted that, and truthers yelling at me, that's the Baphomet. It doesn't matter why it was. Who cares? The specific motivations of the screen, we're beyond that. Who cares? We won't know. You can't get in its head. You can only see how it wants to screw you over, how it wants to put you on the wrong path. Worry about yourself. That's all. It doesn't. It's specific motivations. It wants you analyzing that shit for the rest of your life. So it can only it creates a blurry image. This is what I want. See that middle ring, the collective consciousness, what's accepted by the collective, the beliefs of the collective, the consensus. It then takes this blurry idea and it pushes it inward the best it can. And it uses its media, of course, but that's all represented in these little circles through the minions. The minions, one news anchor presents how wonderful this is, or the converse, 179 degrees. Well, certain states are being discriminatory. They'll say it's also accepted because there's fake discrimination that's created. And it pushes its minions, and most people reject most of the minions. But see, one of the main principles here is the brain, the ego-based reality, the brain is on the outside of the reality bubble. If you are heart-based reality and you're right in the center, see how far away you are from all these dots on the outer edge and the minions? That's kind of where we are, very close to that right now. If Khloe Kardashian presents a scent or says something about a politician, and of course, guys, this is ridiculous. I'm talking about a serious presentation of news, too, that might be in your Time magazine or for 10 years, I've talked about this before, The Economist magazine talked about how the evil ways of Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe and the old Rhodesia, and I, for some reason, had to become an expert, and I read every article, and I felt so proud of myself that I'm just an expert now on how evil Robert Mugabe is. Who cares? If you went out there, Robert Mugabe, is he still there? I don't know, but this was like, I was doing this and reading all this Economist stuff when I was a matrix child, 99 through, say, 2004, or 96 through 2004. And basically, I was, reading all these articles about the politics of Africa and Latin America. And it's all, I mean, if I go out there at the time, is there a guy named Robert Mugabe running around being a jerk? Probably, but that doesn't mean he's not doing the complete bidding as a minion of the system. And then learning about that is completely pointless. So I had, my reality was ego-based, was on the outer fringe of the center circle, the brain on the left with the hand reaching out. I wanted to reach out and get more information from the collective conscious and be part of the collective and reach out for more information from the Economist magazine, the Atlantic magazine, and see how easy it was for the hand to reach down from the edge of the screen using its minions. In this case, a minion being the Economist magazine. Somebody screaming, Rothschild printed. Probably. Who cares? Who cares? It's all a deception. Go into a newsstand and throw a dart. I mean, even comic books now, it's all controlled by big corporations and conglomerates putting out superheroes like Safe Space and Snowflake. Really? That's not put out organic. That's just there to piss people off. Even the comic book people don't understand that. Oh, look what they're putting out as the next superhero. Look how they portrayed Wonder Woman in that episode from 97 where she was killed, same month as Diana. Princess Diana was killed in the same month Princess Diana was killed. They show her all looking sexy, and she's killed by this other sexy Amazonian. And it was, the way they drew that stuff was meant to kind of turn young teenagers on. No doubt about it. So what? It's fun. Nothing wrong with that. That's good old American stuff, If you want to use that instead of your Playboy, it's fine. No problem there. It's natural. But they put out, but the comic book reviewers now, like Nerdrotic or whatever, they just got, even the Critical Drinker, they don't get it. They put out superhero characters. Safe Space, Snowflake, has a slight weight problem, but it's still a superhero. They're not trying to just be, they're just being politically correct. No, they're not. It's there to piss you off. It's there to create emotions and energy you can feed off of. But anyway, so if you have your Matt, when he read the Economist magazine, I'm operating on the edge, ego-based or head-based reality. See, I'm not only getting closer to the minions in the screen, working my way out, I'm actually reaching out on my own accord. I'm offering my hand out to take the greasy hand of some evil Quato that wants to reach down and give me its bullcrap presentation of politics or banking or whatever. That's where most people are. They just want to reach up and find that middle circle, the collective consciousness, the acceptance, the beliefs. Because the minions and the screen itself is very effective at reaching down and finding that the middle layer. You got to reach up to it, it reaches down, and then it has you. Now, of course, if anybody is thinking this center circle is constantly pushed outward towards the screen, that's exactly what it wants. It wants less space between. It's probably not the best way to do this graphically, but it wants the collective consciousness, that center circle, to eventually push outward and almost touch the screen. Therefore, that represents that the collective consciousness or the acceptance and beliefs of real-souled and spirited beings collectively is now almost exactly overlapping what the screen wants. Or if the screen floats a new concept or idea, it doesn't have to reach down very far to influence. If the more that center circle drops down towards a heart-based reality with somebody on the path of a true human being, that puts more space between the screen. The screen is locked out, okay? The screen has some ladders to get down, and it uses its minions and its media, but it stands on the other side of this barbed wire. It's on the periphery looking in. It cannot just jump down. You have to open doors for it. People have to open doors for it. So one of the examples I drew on the left with it's a 10 o'clock, where on the outer edge says police lineup. There's a big red hand coming down from the screen. And I drew a few hands coming down from the screen But what it really is imagine about 100 million hands coming down from the screen. Every single distraction, every single way it can get you on the wrong path. Matt, it floated via The Economist magazine that if Matt understands the politics of Central Africa and Latin America through The Economist, he's then going to be able to carry on an intelligent conversation at some dinner party in the insurance company which he works for. I bought into that. It's just a greasy hand that I decided to grab hold of, and I reached out and grabbed it, and it tainted me in that little respect. But there's hundreds of millions of hands coming down, all manners of distraction and perversions and addictions and just interests too. Just again, one of my good friends, Ken, I've mentioned before, one of his roommate, I don't know if it was junior year at Penn State, or probably sophomore year. This guy's name was Adam. He was an expert in the Oscars. You could say, Adam, who was up for Best Supporting Actress in 1956? Oh, that would be Grace Kelly in Rear Window. Or he just knew it. And did she win? No, she lost. And here's who won. He knew everything about it. That is the one of the 100 million hands coming down from the edge of the screen via one of its minions, Hollywood, and its systems. The systems also create channels down and ladders down. And he grabbed that hand, and he not only just grabbed that hand, he caressed that hand and put lotion on it and massaged that hand and tried to grab it and hold it every chance he could. And like Tommy Boy, you massaging, oh, you're naughty. He loved that hand. He grabbed it every chance he kissed it. So there's a hand for everybody, and more than one hand. And then, just in his little way, he pushed the armor of these circles, the Russian nesting dolls. He pushed a little bit closer to the screen, and maybe when that center circle is completely overlapping, or if it hopefully will never get there, pushes out and overlaps the final screen, maybe then that's game over for the Duke and Duke $1 bet, and we've lost, or the portal opens up and these things can pour into our reality. Who knows? But I don't have too much more to say at this point. I guess the John Dunbar thing on the left, the 10 o'clock, the red hand reaching down, the hand reaching up. There's a dot there, and it represents all the dots represent millions and hundreds of millions of minions, or there's more than that. John Dunbar, it says. It doesn't say Dunbar. It says John Dunbar. That was Kevin Costner's name. And there's a dot. How is John Dunbar a minion? He was a minion. At the beginning of Dances with Wolves, he was a corporal or whatever in the army, but it was came out of the Civil War. It was during the Civil War. That's right. It was before they fought the Indians and went to slaughter them. During the Civil War, like a corporal. He absolutely a minion, about to go kill his brother in a battlefield. And he just said, F this. He just couldn't take it. And he rode his horse, the Christ symbolism, rode his horse with arms stretched, just saying, shoot me. And of course, all the South tried to shoot him. They all missed, and then they had to reload, and that let the North take the battle. He was trying to kill himself. He was an ultimate minion, doing everything with the minion that the system wanted him to do. But he said, F this, I'm just gonna end my life. But then after that, I have all the dots then make a line. You probably can't see it. It goes dot, 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 dot. Each dot represents him as a minion, but finding his path towards the complete heart-based center. So at some point, he's moving himself as a minion. He's moving himself down away from the screen. And now he's crossed the middle circle, but he doesn't want to just be with collective consciousness that says the cavalry now has to go out and kill all the Indians. He's moving away from that, coming inward to heart center. Right when he gets into heart center, that's when he changes his name to Danny Dutanka, whatever it was. Dances with Wolves, it meant in Sioux. He says, I don't want these soldiers' uniforms. The guy wanted the hat. He's like, keep the hat. I'll take the knife or the hat or whatever. He abandoned his clothes, a complete symbolic leaving behind of old ways, of old systems, of paths that lead somebody into the abyss. And then at the end of the movie, he's right in the middle. He's the farthest away possible from the screen. And the screen pursued him with its minions, its cavalry, or whatever. But so what? Maybe if you're right in the middle of the heart-based reality and they kill you, or cavalry kills John Dunbar, or whatever, you're a winner as far as I'm concerned. It's a law of this. You've won. You do that much good work for yourself. There's still rules here. Okay, there are still rules here. Whether we agreed to come here or whatever, there's absolutely rules here. And I hope it's still recording. I think it is. He gets in the middle, and then they see. I think there's a karma issue for them. If you reach your hand up, they're happy to take it. But to send a minion all the way down into the middle of your heart-based center and to screw with you there, there's a price to pay for that. There's a price. All right. So because there's very few incidences where they do that. Okay, the bottom right says Mandela effect. And I'm going to be just a few minutes to make sure that those that are triggered don't get too upset. There are personal Mandela effects some people have where, I've heard enough of these stories over the years that I believe these people. I really do. Like going across the street, there's a business being across the street for 20 years saying, well, when did you guys frame this in red or whatever and add this? He says, it's been there for 20 years. No one's ever changed that. He's looked at it out this window for 20 years. I've heard enough of these stories, many, 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 where I believe it. But it's rare. Usually the ability for what we call reality to get fluid and to just break down usually happens at the screen level, the periphery. Again, there is no more closer to the screen than the screen itself, right? You're going to need a bigger boat. The screen itself, Jaws. Real, art-based reality, and I wrote solid, real, the most R-E-A-L, heart-based reality. Well, the screen on the outer edges, it's real, R-E-E-L, a movie reel. You're going to need a bigger boat. I mean, give me a break. I know, 50% here don't see the Mandela effect at all. Most of us here are such big thinkers that you're tolerant of those that do, willing to think big. And still, even people here, there's still 5% or so that get triggered by it. They're going to tell me it's some sort of confabulation. It's incredible how Matt can kind of be, he can actually be right about a lot of things over the last 10 years and just be so lost when it comes to being fooled by such a basic psyop as the Mandela effect. No, I have at least five anchor effects where I know this reality is just is different in that regard. And there is no date of change. Anyway, enough on the ME. But it happens, it happens at the screen level, much more than doesn't happen much when you're just in your reality bubble touching the tree. Or when my cat hasn't ever jumped in my lap and it's become a black cat. That's very rare. See, so it's interesting, you could actually try to, using this type of model, what would the purpose of CERN be? Potentially to punch a hole down, maybe CERN's a ladder from the screen to punch a hole down to the collective middle ring. And then there's all of a sudden, think about Middle Earth, Midgard, Middle Earth. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Sorry, guys, if I sound a little different. Sneezing fit. Matrix probably wants me to end this video as soon as possible. I take that stuff as a good sign. Matt, that's a little arrogant to think that the reality itself caused the sneezing. Yeah, I don't really think it did. It's possible. But anyway, the most important point, guys, is always how we can use this. Even if the image isn't exactly correct, maybe it is, but how we can use it. And I really feel, and your inner knowing will confirm this or not, but the general principle, I think you'll agree with me on, how the screen and its greasy fingers and its blurry images and its perversions and its misdirections, it's always trying to push inward, trying to dig tunnels inward towards your own personal reality bubble, trying to get to you using its minions. So I think if nothing else comes out of this, it's, everybody in the morning really should, and I miss some days now, I really do. Like I forget to grab my orgone or whatever. I miss some days, but everybody in the morning should at least be doing 30 seconds. And one of the things I'm going to add is, am I going to do things that let this reality push its way in to my personal reality bubble? Am I going to accept a reality pushing in? It says at the top, does your reality come from the screen inward? And am I accepting of that? Or is my reality flowing out from my heart-based reality bubble, pushing outward? Outward pushes the screen and its perverted ideas backwards. The screen, see, that's the reason for the lies and the deception and the distraction, mostly the lies, deception, is it seems to use lies and deception to create, this is the game Chutes and Ladders. The game Chutes and Ladders. It creates chutes and ladders down to you or towards you. It uses its minions to get down towards you. It uses this incredible presentation of space travel, whatever happened in the Broadway production in 1969, as well as all the movies and TV shows and Star Trek and its presentation of space and the ISS. And people, it's going to reach that hand down. That's not a greasy hand. That's a really cool hand. And I can put posters up of Elon Musk, and I can just embrace that. I'm going to just keep drawing the screen down towards me. I'm going to keep reaching my hand up. And it uses lies and deception to create chutes and ladders down that people have to choose to embrace. And, what we've done in terms of seeing all the fakery that comes from the screen, and for the last 10 years, we'd say this is a screen exercise, and, we haven't completely wasted our time at all. It was kind of necessary to get where we are, saying, that presentation is fake. What they tell me the stock market is fake. All this fake. Nothing holds up. Nothing holds water. Is when you see everything's faux, that is the first step in, understanding, why, trying to go on to step 2 and step 3. Why is it constantly operated behind lies and deception? What is the point? They quote, have all the money they could ever want or need. It's not about money. It's what's the point of these lies and deception? And it only starts to make sense if you see them as, well, this is like a conduit of some kind. If I buy the lie, it creates a chutes and ladders down to or close to my reality bubble, close to me, where it can get to me somehow, or take a piece of me, or take a soul token, or whatever. I mean, there's a reason it wants to manipulate me. And the lies and deception, you could see it as a chutes and ladder down, a greasy hand that you reach up to grab. You could see it as a Elon Musk underground pod that he's going to send at 40 million miles per hour. He's going to build that thing. Now, that's when he told Joe Rogan. He said, we went out and just started digging. And even Joe Rogan was like, didn't you need a permit for that? I just started digging. And I guess Elon Musk was, well, no, if you're the niece, or he is a niece, but if you're the niece or nephew of so-and-so bloodline, he should have said, no, you don't need no permit. You just dig, dude. And when the cops show up, they go away because you flash your Battlestar Galactica card showing your Jupiter Jones bloodline or something from Jupiter Ascending. By the way, guys, the Jupiter Ascending, I think there is some truth drops on a strange level. It's very interesting in some scenes. It's really bad in other scenes. But the part where showing the bureaucracy, I mean, she's supposed to be like the crown princess, discovered, and they show the bureaucracy of how she needs to get her official royal stamps, and they go in from one line. Oh, you're in the wrong line. It's like the DMV times 1 billion. The way they portray that bureaucracy is just brilliant. It's brilliant. That it's probably only about a 5-minute scene, and you're saying she's the crown princess of the whole netherworld or whatever, and she's got to go through this. What would somebody there just that lost their driver's license have to go through? It's really well done. But overall, the movie's really kind of lame. And that actor, he played Stephen Hawking. Oh, and Fantastic Beasts. It's horrible. If you could cast anybody in Fantastic Beasts. I like that Harry Potter crap. You know I do. I mean, you could cast Red Fox, who literally is Sanford and Son. I mean, let's say that was really him, and he wasn't playing Fred Sanford. You could cast him Fantastic Beasts in little suitcases, and it would be better than that guy. Whatever. Ann Esther would be better than that actor who played Stephen Hawking. He's horrible. Sorry. So I don't know if there's anything else to discuss here. There's all the lies, tricks, deception, hijacking. To me, it's all this graphic works because it's all to penetrate, to get down into your bubble. And the beauty of it is absolutely within your power or yourself or our power to strengthen. I wrote Armor. Is Armor ARMOR or UR? Whatever. I wrote ARMOR. You can each level, you can create as much armor and defense as possible. A system of moats, not Mozart's, moats. And you can create it so there's no way they're going to get down into your reality bubble. And the imagery, guys, is really, that's why I think this image works. Understanding of it, finally, if we can get an image of it, and you could say, yeah, heart-based reality pushed out, projected out like a brilliant light that nothing's getting in. I don't dabble in any magic, or I've had so many people over the years coming to me, Matt, don't you want to learn magic? No, I don't. I'm not interested. I'm not afraid of it. There's nothing to do with that. But I know one of the main principles is just imagery. And, if this image did start to, the way I drew this out actually made sense, and I'm going to look for people to poke holes in it, and maybe they can and maybe they can't. But if they can't, then just having this image and just remembering, wake up in the morning, heart-based reality bubble pushing out with complete defenses. Nothing from the screen is going to get in. When I watch a movie, and, I watch my movies at night and veg out or whatever, there's how many times do they cast some spell in some movie? Even Ready Player One, the guy over the artifact starts saying all this weird Latin, and I'm not even going to try to fake it because who knows what'll come out. It'd be like Chris Tucker trying to speak Mandarin in Hong Kong, what he said to those girls by mistake. But I always say to myself, I don't know what's coming out when this person is casting some sort of a spell or whatever, but it doesn't work. I'm not susceptible to it. Doesn't work on me. And I've said that enough now where I go to say that. I go, I don't have to say this again. Anytime there's some creepy scene in a movie where they're pulling out something that sounds like Latin and it happens in Game of Thrones, I say to myself, I don't have to say this anymore because I've programmed myself. Whatever it is not going to seep in. And I guess the point, guys, if you truly wake up in the morning and say, I have a reality bubble that's pushing out, that my reality goes from here outward. I'm not going to accept the greasy fingers and all the crap it wants to bring me through its tunnels and portals and hands reaching in and temptations and deception and lies. And just that image is like magic. Just the image of you projecting like a light out, defenses. I think it goes a long way. I don't know why. It just seems to be how reality works. Related right back down to the Rice experiment and everything else. So thanks for listening, guys. And we'll continue. I will really look at the comments hard. And again, I'm not, this is one where, want to start the comment, Matt, your theory here breaks down and is wrong. Does the defense's case hold water? No. The defense's case does not hold water. say it. But if you in the first line say this is really fallacious. Is that fallacy? It's like fallacious fallacy reasoning. Then you don't just write a sentence. You're gonna have to back it up. If you're saying this theory sucks, don't just say it sucks. Back it up. But I'll look forward to that kind of criticism. Thanks, guys.